know football begins in earnest tonight. Everyone's got their attention there. But for you, a guy that works calling games for ESPN, what are you doing now in run-up? I guess you've got 6-8 weeks before basketball starts in earnest, but what's prep time like for you, or is the offseason already over?
Guys, I've never been busier in my life. I've never been happier, and I haven't been this healthy since I was 13 years old. And to be on the air here in Louisville, Kentucky, what more could you ask for in life? Louisville, which has had such an impact on my life. Denny Crum was the guy who found me in San Diego and said, "Little Billy, come on up here to UCLA." I remain great friends with Denny Crum to this very day. See him all the time whenever we have the big events, the big reunions, the Final Fours, and all the championships. And then the players who have had such a remarkable impact on my own personal life, Darrell Griffith, and then Derek Smith, and Lancaster Gordon, and all the guys that played for Denny Crum, and now with the great program that they have there. And I know that Jim Host is so critically involved with everything in the state of Kentucky there, and he's wearing so many different hats we can't even go to those directions. But as we gear up for basketball, right now it's football here. And so I'll be out there on the IMG tailgate tour that starts this Sunday, and up at the Rose Bowl, UCLA, Texas A&M. And it's going to be a fantastic event sponsored by Wendy's and Pringles. And so we're going to be celebrating the greatness of our culture, of our world, of our lives, and the value of sports, the value of community, the value of team, and the value of our own individual lives, which always come back, guys, to our health. And so the sense of working towards your health through sports, using sports to make a better life for yourself, and that's the reason why I'm coming to Kentucky and how special it is for me. Ah, yes, Kentucky. Be sure and say hi to Tom Hammond down there in Lexington. Do you guys speak to people from Lexington on your show here?
Only when required by law.
Only when required. But Tom, he's a great dude and just got me over the top so many different times. But I am coming to Louisville September 21st. We're going to have a grand event, but I'm going to be in the state of Kentucky for 3 days, the 19th through the 21st. But on the night of the 21st, afternoon, evening, the 21st, it's a Thursday from 4:30 to 6:30, a free, open to the public event. It's going to be out there on the east side of town on the Blankenbaker Parkway there. We're going to be at the PFR Performance Center, Performance Fitness and Rehab Center. We're going to be a ribbon cutting and a groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of this state-of-the-art facility that's going to be helping people work on their health. And that's what I do with my life, because I am the luckiest guy on earth in that I have my health back. I spent half my adult life in the hospital. I spent all my entire life in pain, physical, orthopedic, joint, bone pain, with the deformed feet that I was born with the crooked bent knee that I was injured very badly when I was 14, with the broken spine that I had suffered at UCLA on January 7th, 1974, 43 years ago and a half. And so it was a situation where my body just would not carry me to my dreams. And so while I wanted to be the best, I wanted to be a part of the greatest teams ever, some of those dreams came true, but it just never was able to come all the way true. I was never able to sustain because my body wouldn't hold up, and particularly my spine. And so I go around the country now, and I work for an organization called the Better Way Back program, which is an advocacy, an informational, and educational program. You can go to thebetterwayback.org and just check out all the different things that we do, because we promote spine health, and that's what this great PFR company, organization, program, facility is doing. It's a alternative care rehab center for people who are suffering from spine pain. And so that's why I'm coming there. And it's going to be 2 hours, 4:30 to 6:30 at night on Thursday night, September 21st. And you can call us and get more information, but you can just show up too. The phone number is 800-745-7099. That's 800-745-7099. And when we get there, you're going to see how fantastic my spine feels, because I have no pain. I take no medication. I go full speed ahead, and it is just so incredible, because after having broken my back when I was 21, after having lived in a world built for preschool children all bent over, all hunched over. I have had my spine surgically rebuilt, reconstructed, reinvented, re-imaged, and now it's just doing fantastic. Now, spine surgery is not for everybody, and that's what the great thing about the PFR Spine Clinic is, because that's what we do in terms of going through the entire process, all along the line, starting at the very beginning. And as the advocate, as one of 3,000 ambassadors around the entire country for the Better Way Back program, the patients like me who've lived through this and have come out on the other side are just doing fantastic. We have a duty and an obligation and a responsibility to give back to the people who don't know, because, people are a lot more familiar with, say, a hip replacement or a knee replacement. And 20 years ago, that was a roll of the dice. You had no idea if it was going to work. Today, it's just automatic. You go in there one day, you're out the next day, and you're just doing fine. And I've had a knee replacement, and it's just fantastic. But this spine surgery that I had 8.5 years ago on February 8th, 2009, not that I remember that it was a Sunday, not that I remember it was 6:30 in the morning that we started, but it was the toughest thing ever. And so what we have to do, guys, is to be the educators, to be the guys that shine the light. Because when you want to get somewhere, and think if you're suffering there with back pain, and think you're having the toughest time of your life and you can't figure out how you're ever going to get better and how you're ever going to move forward, because more people, and I was one of these guys, more people kill themselves because of spine pain than any other malady. And I spend hours every day on the phone, face-to-face, on the internet, writing letters, talking to people, convincing them that there is a better way back, to step back from the bridge, to put the gun down, and to take a big, deep breath and learn about what's out there. Now, I'm not sure about what you guys, Mark and Joe, use for your communication devices, but you're not still using a rotary phone, are you?
I don't even know. My daughter didn't even know what it meant to actually hang up a phone. That's
right.
how much things have changed.
So things change, and what's really changed, the technological revolution that we're going through, that we're living in our lives right now. I mean, it has changed everything. Now people are living longer than ever, more active lives than ever, and I am testament to the incredible innovation that has come through medicine and focused on spine health, because the way that the doctors have been able to change the techniques, the procedures, the equipment, and what it is they do once they get inside with all these fantastic new pieces and tools that allow them to do things that before were it was just such a risk, such a high risk. Now, remember, you guys don't sound old enough to remember when they just used to do regular surgery on knees, and they'd have these big, long 6 to 8 inch scars just to take out a little bit of the cartilage, or now they just poke a little tiny hole into it. Well, the same revolution is taking place in spine health care, and the 4 incisions that I have are all very small, 1 on the side, 3 in the back, and the doctors, they go in there with all these scopes and the imaging capabilities that they have, and then the tools and the robotic stuff, and they go in and they take all the junk out, they decompress the spine, they straighten the spine, they align the spine, and then they stabilize it. They put it all back together, and they hold it together with all the nuts and the rods and the bolts and the screws and the plates and the spacers and all the things that are in my spine that have given me this incredible life. Because when I'm not talking to you, and when I'm not getting ready for this Wendy's tailgate tour that we're going to be starting on Sunday, I'm out riding my bike, and I'm in the swimming pool, and I'm in the weight room, and I'm just playing music, and I'm going on tour with the Grateful Dead, and I'm coming to Kentucky, and we are going to have the time of our lives. How are you guys doing, and how are you getting ready for the football season?
Well, Bill, you mentioned your bicycle. Funny enough, when you lost your bike in Hawaii, I jumped on Twitter and helped you get it back. And so you mentioned Coach Crum earlier. Can I ask you a question? Do you got anything good for the Louisville fan base here about Coach Wooden and Coach Crum?
Best of friends. And, Coach Wooden, when you played for him, he was not your friend. He had a job to do. He saw his job as something that was very serious, not about friendship, but it was about making you better as a basketball player, but more importantly about making you better as a player. As a person. And so Denny Crum, who played for Coach Wooden after going to Pierce Community College, junior college there in the San Fernando Valley, where Coach Wooden ended up living, But Coach Wooden, he handpicked Denny Crum, and we at UCLA were dismayed when Denny left. He went on to Louisville there in 1972. First year there, makes it the Final Four. But we knew how great Denny was. He goes on to the Hall of Fame career. But the friendship and the bond that those two had, because Coach Wooden was not one to delegate responsibility. He was not one that said, "Okay, you take care of this, and I'll go sit in the sideline and talk to the media." Now, Coach Wooden was on that court every single time, with the rare exception that on either Wednesday or Thursday, when Dick Enberg, our local broadcaster at the time, who's now gone on to the most incredible broadcasting career in the history of the profession, Dick Enberg would come to practice to get the notes for the games that weekend. And it was only at that time that Coach Wooden would nod to Denny Crum and say, "Denny, you take it for the next 5 minutes. I've got to talk to Dick about the games coming up." And then that just carried over, and we loved Denny Crum and his ability to build, and the characters that he was able to bring out and establish in the young men under his athletic supervision in the afternoon. And we never could believe, because Denny's a Southern California guy. I mean, look, California, we are super proud. And we know that if the Pilgrims had landed just over here to the right, where I'm sitting right now in that beautiful Pacific Ocean, if the Pilgrims had landed there, everything east of here would be wilderness in a big national park. But Denny moved back there. And then, because I don't believe that Denny ever thought that Coach Wooden was going to retire. And it was such a shock when he just retired. And Louisville was the second to the last game that he ever played. Coach Ian John Wooden did. But Denny, he went on. He loved it there, still loves it there, lives there to this very day, and just doing fantastic. And his wife and his family and the community. He always keeps telling me to come out to his beautiful farm on the outskirts of town where he's got the big bass lake out there. But I've yet to make it. Maybe this trip. Maybe this will be the time that I come and spend at the lake with Denny Crum, sitting there on the dock and talking about some really, really great times. Because one of the things about a great coach is that, while Wooden and ultimately Denny Crum were very strict and very demanding and firm and challenging and exacting, and they wanted everything from you for those 2 hours of practice every day, they were fair and they made it fun. And we could never wait to get to practice, to get started, because playing for a great coach, for a great leader, that's a privilege and an honor that you have to earn and keep every single day. And so as we go through life, and as we now become the guys who are old and in the way, and we become the guys who are responsible for the leadership that it's going to take the people who don't know the path forward. Because if you're ever going to find a path forward, you got to talk to somebody who's on their way back, and that's the genesis of the Better Way Back program. And Denny Crum, his faith and patience and loyalty to life, to me as an individual, how kind he's always been. And I can remember when he just said, "Billy, I think UCLA is the place for you to be." I was UCLA's easiest recruit. I became John Wooden's worst nightmare, and I drove the poor guy to an early grave at 99. And I sure hope I'm not the one responsible for driving Denny Crum away from UCLA.
Bill, we were talking with Bob Valvano here a little bit earlier, and he wanted us to make sure. Will do. He wanted us to make sure we asked you about the Woodenisms that you still find yourself repeating to yourself throughout your day. He said he was sure that you still did that.
Oh, absolutely. So I had the most perfect childhood growing up. My parents, zero interest in sports, none. But I had a phenomenal childhood. My parents were the greatest parents ever. And then I had this incredible coach when I was first getting started, 8 years old. And his name was Rocky, greatest coach I ever had, because he made it fun. And it was just a joy to come and play every day. And then I had Chick Hearn. As young people today, and they have the Bob Valvanos in their ear on a constant basis, calling the games and doing everything on the radio. I had Chick Hearn. That was my voice. That was the joy, the spark, the enthusiasm, the optimism, the hope. And then I got to play for John Wooden. Now, so I had this incredibly wonderful and joyous and celebratory childhood that I thought everybody else had too. Because growing up in the 50s and the 60s in Southern California, it was perfect. And it was just, 75, 80 degrees every day. And all the girls were wearing bikinis all the time. We were at the beach all the time. When it got dark or cold, we'd go inside and play basketball. And we were riding our bikes everywhere. And school was super fun and super interesting. And there was fantastic teachers. And so I had this opportunity to play for Coach Wooden, and I really had no idea what we had, how special it was, because I thought everybody had that. And I was 21. I was 21 years old, and I had rarely encountered anyone that did not have my best interest at heart. And then I joined the NBA, and that's when everything started coming into focus, how, hey, you know what? Maybe everybody doesn't have those same opportunities that I had, and those same incredible teachers and coaches and heroes and role models. And so, while we were able to memorize everything that Coach Wooden would teach us, from the Pyramid of Success to the 7-point creed, to the 2 sets of threes, to the endless maxims, to the tools to overcome the adversity that he knew were coming in life ahead. But we were teenagers, and so we knew what the words were, but we did not know what they meant. And so it's once that I left UCLA, and then I realized that, hey man, I just blew this golden opportunity here. Now I better go back and figure this all out. So I spent While I broke Coach Wooden's heart, I broke his spirit. Once I left UCLA after the first 7 years of our 43-year relationship, 3 years as a high school player and 4 years as a college player for him, I made a conscious decision in my life to quit causing him grief, quit causing him the consternation that I was driving as a stake into his heart all the time, and just really disappointing him and letting him down. And so as it all came back into focus, and the endless maxims, be quick but don't hurry, the failing to prepare is preparing to fail, happiness begins when selfishness ends, never mistake activity for achievement, the worst things you can do for the ones you love are the things they could and should do for themselves. When everybody thinks alike, nobody thinks. It's okay to disagree, just don't be disagreeable. And then he had the other ones, like, it takes talent to get to the top, it takes character to stay there. Stubbornness, I deprecate. Firmness, I condone. The former is my neighbor's trait. The latter is my own. Worry about the things that you can control, and pay no heed to the things that are out of your control. And then the one that he wrote to me on the day I graduated, to Bill Walton. It's the things you learn after you know it all that count. John Wooden. And so they became my life. And as things fell apart for me, and nobody's been injured more than me, nobody's had more problems, nobody's failed more than me, but one of the things that I've been able to do is to get back up and get going again. And that's what I've been able to do after this spine collapse 9.5 years ago, when I thought my life was over and I was going to kill myself because there was no hope that I was going to get better. I had no belief that this was ever going to stop hurting, and the burning, unrelenting, excruciating, debilitating pain, it just drove me to the ground. And, it's super easy to say all this stuff, but to try to actually put it into practice and to try to use it to get yourself back up and get going again. I mean, it's unquestionably the hardest thing I've ever done, but I would not have been able to do it without that foundation that I got, and I also would not have been able to do it without the help and support of my family and my friends and my wife, who every day said, "Don't give up, Bill, don't give up, you can make it." And now I'm just doing fantastic, and I'm completely and totally beyond all that. And so here I am. I have found a better way back into life, and I'm going full speed, just absolutely on fire in everything. And the most rewarding, though, is to see the people who understand that they have a chance, and the ability of the patient, the guy who's lying there and no longer believes or has no idea. We ask you to reach out to us. We're coming to Louisville there. We're coming. We're going to put on that free, public, open event on Thursday night, September 21st, from 4:30 to 6:30 at the PFR Center. It's going to be an incredible celebration of life and health and optimism, of hope, of education, of illumination, of advocacy. Because if you don't see a path forward, I mean, how are you ever going to get that ultimate sense of happiness? So every time I would drop the children. We have 4 children now and 8 grandchildren, and more coming with every phone call. But you have a situation here where folks just don't understand the guidance and the value of experience, of having been there. And so when our children were growing up, and I would be writing on their lunch bags, "Be quick but don't hurry. It takes talent to get to the top, but character to stay there." Oh my gosh, they would roll their eyes. But now that they have children of their own, I'm asking them what they're writing on their children's lunch bags. And I'm the luckiest and proudest dad in the whole world.
Bill, we appreciate you carving out some time for us. Again, the event is on September 21st, the PFR Center, 4:30 to 6:30. The number, if you want to find out more information about it, 800-745-7099. It's the Better Way Back program. Bill, thank you so much. We really, really enjoyed this. This was great.
We'll see everybody there. Bring all your memorabilia. We'll sign everything. We'll take all the pictures.
Awesome.
We'll kiss all the babies. But what we're really doing is we're going to spread the good news of what is possible for you if your spine is killing you. Because my spine feels fantastic. And I was saved. I'm alive today because of my spine surgeon and NuVasive, the company that came up with all the incredible innovations that have changed. They went from a dream 17 years ago of a couple of entrepreneurs saying, "Hey, we can do better than this," and that's been really my whole life. My parents, Rocky, Chick, Coach Wooden, Steve Garfin, my spine surgeon, NuVasive, these people who want to make the world a better place. And that's why we're coming to Kentucky, and we just can't wait to come there and celebrate the greatness of what you guys have going there. Thanks so much for having me, guys. Have a wonderful day. And
thanks a lot, Bill. We appreciate it.
I sure hope your spine feels as fantastic as mine does.
Very good. Thank you, Bill. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you.